Time now for the front page. This for Wednesday, November 15th, 2023. Let's get busy. The Israeli-Hamas war. Israel has launched a targeted operation in the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza. This being reported by USA Today. At around the same time, Israel said it would allow fuel into Gaza for humanitarian operations. Its troops went into Gaza City's Al-Shifa hospital intent on rooting out Hamas forces. The Israeli military said it was carrying out a precise and targeted operation against Hamas in a specified area at the Shifa hospital based on intelligence information and an operational necessity. Israel has long contended the military group, militant group, Hamas, uses the hospital, the largest in the embattled enclave, and tunnels underneath it for military purposes. The White House said yesterday it has intelligence to confirm that claim, which Hamas has denied. The IDF said in a statement it repeatedly warned Hamas against military uses of the hospital. Quote, yesterday, the IDF conveyed to the relevant authorities in Gaza once again that all military activities within the hospital must cease within 12 hours, unquote. Unfortunately, they did not cease those military efforts. Documents are pointing to Iran helping Hamas to craft weapons. This is CNN exclusive. A document recovered from a computer inside a Hamas pickup truck outside Gaza, obtained by CNN from Israeli officials, shows a Hamas military commander requesting a scholarship for Hamas operatives to study engineering, physics, and technology at universities in Iran. While it is widely known that Iran provides financial and military support to Hamas, Israeli officials and some former U.S. intelligence officials say the document is evidence that in the run-up to the October 7th attack in southern Israel, Iran was seeking to provide technical training that would help Hamas produce its own weaponry. Quote, this example is another piece in an elaborate puzzle of deep infrastructure of building, supporting, financing, and training terror proxies by the Iranian regime around the globe, and specifically in the Gaza Strip. Israeli officials said this is the first known instance of Iran attempting to fund this kind of university-hosted training for Hamas operatives, a claim U.S. officials said they could not confirm at this time. Other live updates coming from the Israeli-Hamas war. From USA Today, Palestinian authorities are calling for a ceasefire to evacuate 36 newborns and other patients from Gaza City's Al-Shifa hospital. Yesterday, a UN agency said only one hospital, the Al-Ali, remains operational in the battered North Gaza Strip. The Israeli military said it had gained control of the Hamas legislative and government building, the Hamas police headquarters, and an engineering facility used for weapons production and development in action yesterday. A consortium of Palestinian groups and individuals have asked a federal court in California to enjoin the Biden administration from providing arms, money, and diplomatic support to Israel on the grounds the administration is aiding in genocide against the civilian population of Gaza. Around 200,000 people have fled south over the past 10 days due to fighting between Israeli troops and Palestinian militants in northern Gaza, this according to the UN Aid Agency for Palestine Refugees. More than two-thirds of Gaza's population of 2.3 million have left their homes since the war began. Several hundred demonstrators protested outside the Israeli parliament yesterday and demanded the resignation of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, saying that he is unfit for office. The protesters carried signs blaming Netanyahu for the October 7th attack. For our part here in the United States, a gigantic rally for Israel. Hundreds of thousands flocked to Washington, this being reported by CBS News. A huge crowd turned out in Washington, D.C. yesterday for the March for Israel, gathering on the National Mall to show support for the embattled country, for hostages to be freed, and to protest anti-Semitism, which has increased in the U.S. since the Israel-Hamas war began last month. Renee Levy, who traveled to D.C. from Cincinnati, Ohio, told CBS News she felt it was important to be there with her sons and her friends. It's been a really hard time to be Jewish in the U.S. this last month for these kids on college campuses, what they're having to deal with on top of mourning our dead and being worried about our hostages, she said. We're also being attacked everywhere just for being Jewish. So to be here with all these people today and stand in solidarity with Israel and to be together was really important to us. A technological aspect now to the Israeli-Hamas war. Artificial intelligence apparently has joined the fight. This being reported by CNN. Hate groups and far-right internet trolls have seized on tensions surrounding the Israeli-Hamas war while leveraging advances in artificial intelligence to further stoke anti-Semitism in the United States. The confluence of the conflict and the rapid development and sheer accessibility of artificial intelligence tools have allowed anti-Semitic groups to weaponize the technology, creating images and audio that are used to harass the Jewish community, according to experts who track online extremism. Quote, we've seen a real concern, ideological convergence between far-right communities online and pro-Hamas sentiment, said Ben Decker, the CEO of Memetica, a threat analysis company that monitors online hate. The activity is on law enforcement's radar as anti-Semitism remains on the rise nationwide. A 316% increase in anti-Semitic incidents has hit the U.S. since the October 7th Hamas terror attack on Israel, this compared to the same period last year. This from preliminary data released by the Anti-Defamation League. In Congress, Rashida Tlaib has been found to be a part of a Facebook Hamas support group. This is a Fox News exclusive. Representative Rashid Tlaib is part of a secret social media group which its members have glamorized Hamas in its war battle with Israel after the digital group, make that terror group, attacked and killed hundreds of innocent Israeli citizens last month. This according to Fox News Digital. The Michigan Democrat is a member of the Palestinian American Congress group on Facebook. The group is hidden from non-members and does not appear on the platform's search engine, although Fox News was able to gain access to it. The group's founder, Maher Abdel Kader, who has extensive ties to Tlaib and who has been linked to other liberal politicians, has come under fire in the past for his anti-Semitic social media posts, including questioning if the Holocaust of World War II had ever existed. The Palestinian American Congress group, of which Tlaib is a member, has featured pro-Hamas posts in the wake of the deadly October 7th attack on Israel. Elsewhere in congressional business, the House passed a temporary spending plan, this being reported by USA Today. The House approved a temporary measure to fund the government and avert a catastrophic shutdown yesterday, kicking the can down the road once again for Congress to pass a longer-term deal to keep the government's doors open for the United States. The stopgap bill was led by newly installed House Speaker Mike Johnson, the Republican from Louisiana. Referred to as a continuing resolution, was passed by the lower chamber by an overwhelmingly bipartisan vote of 336 to 95. Johnson and House Republican leaders have touted the continuing resolution as a conservative victory. But the bill, which was Johnson's first major test of speakership, did not sail through the House without heartache from its hard-right members, who were adamant that any funding plan include spending cuts or conservative policy priorities. Moving to the Senate this morning, USA Today reporting things are getting rowdy in the Senate. A senator has called out a Teamsters boss. The Senate almost turned into the octagon yesterday as Oklahoma Senator Mark Wayne Mullen invited a Teamsters boss to throw down in a fit of anger over the union leader's mean tweets. Mullen, a Republican former mixed martial arts fighter, challenged International Brotherhood of Teamsters President Sean O'Brien to a fistfight in the middle of a hearing of the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee, and rose from his seat before Senator Bernie Sanders, the committee chairman, ordered him to sit down. O'Brien had called Mullen, whose personal fortune runs into the tens of millions of dollars, a clown and a fraud who pretends that he's self-made. Quote, in reality, just a clown and a fraud. Always has been, always will be. Quit the tough guy act in these Senate hearings. You know where to find me. Any place, any time, cowboy, O'Brien wrote in June. Speaking to O'Brien from his perch at the committee table, Mullen said, sir, this is a time. This is a place. You want to run your mouth? We can be two consenting adults and finish it right here. That particular potential fisticuffs incident was then set aside by committee chairman Bernie Sanders, who rapped the gavel several times. We'll see what happens next. International news today. President Biden will meet with Xi Jinping. President Joe Biden will have a candid conversation with China's Xi Jinping today at a summit that Washington hopes will result in Beijing taking its calls next time there's a crisis. This being reported by USA Today. Iranian-backed groups are assaulting U.S. forces. Russia is pressing on with its war against Ukraine. China has been ratcheting up its aggression toward Taiwan. With so many clashes taking place, the U.S. says the world's two biggest military powers cannot afford to be giving each other the silent treatment. Both countries need to get back to a normal course of corresponding, being able to pick up a phone and call one another through a crisis, being able to make sure our militaries have contact with one another, said President Biden, speaking to reporters. In tragic school news, this from Fox, authorities in Las Vegas announced yesterday that arrests have been made. 8 teenagers are now facing murder charges in a deadly beating that left a high school student dead earlier this month. All 8 suspects are between the ages of 13 and 17, according to officials. Due to the teenagers' ages, the names were not immediately released. During a news conference yesterday, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department Lieutenant Jason Johansson said all the people involved were students of Rancho High School. Johansson described the video as, quote, void of humanity, unquote, and said there was no evidence the incident could have been considered a hate crime. The Clark County Coroner's Office confirmed that Jonathan Lewis, 17 years of age, died following the attack November 1st. Cause of death was listed as complications from multiple blunt force injuries. His death was listed as a homicide. A North Dakota judge has upheld the state ban on gender transition treatment. This from Fox News. A North Dakota judge ruled that he will not immediately block the state's ban on gender transition treatment for minors. District Judge Jackson Lofgren said on Monday he denied a temporary restraining order requested by the plaintiffs. The 3 families and a pediatrician who are suing also sought a preliminary injunction to block the law from becoming enforceable as their case proceeds, but a hearing for that request is not until January. Quote, we're disappointed in this ruling, but we're confident that when all the evidence has been presented, the court will ultimately find the ending healthcare ban permanently is the only just, equitable, and constitutional resolution, said Gender Justices Brittany Stewart, the lead attorney for the plaintiffs. And that is today's front page.